In this episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks, we've got Red Devils, we've got Grace, so it's like heaven and hell, and all kinds of tech news coming up next. Welcome back to yet another fine episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks webcast, my brothers and sisters. We're gonna take you to church or something like that. At least with the tease we did.
I can't walk into church. There'll be lightning striking.
I know, right? I'll spontaneously combust too. There's no question about it. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody back on the interwebs. We are streaming through the capable facilities of StreamYard. That is the app we use. You guys should check that out. StreamYard.com. Not sponsored, just like the stuff. How's that? But yes, welcome back. Got Marco, got Chris. It's like the Brady Bunch. Isn't this nice?
We can pop a few more of us on here.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We need Alice and whoever else. How you guys doing? How's things in Glockamora, as they say?
Good, man. Can't complain. You know, usual complaints. Working a lot, chilling a lot. It's all the same stuff. At least the weather's beautiful finally.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got 60s up here in New England. It's downright balmy. Chris, how you doing? It's good to see you this week. We missed you last week. You were just you were hiding behind the curtain because what? You were a little peaked.
Yeah. So all day sleep study kind of thing, and so hair was a mess and all that because they put all the electrodes all over your head and then it's glued in. Just not a good stream look, you know.
It's all those guys with phenomenal heads of hair that complain.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like I wish I could have a wild frock. I don't get much wilder than this, let me tell you. Chris, what are you imbibing currently? Are you water today or are you doing beer?
Nothing.
Beer 30. Oh, come on.
I mean, I had a coffee a bit ago, but that was just for survival.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I am having something tasty out of this gorgeous mug.
Look at that merch.
Coffee.
That's some sweet merch you got there.
The coffee tastes better. Is it possible?
It's hot.
Coffee tastes better.
Is it nice and hot?
It's hot. Yes. Hot coffee. Tastes
phenomenal. It's awesome.
That's what my son, when he was just a little squirt, sitting in the back seat in the rider seat, whatever, the baby seat in the back, when he was a little kid, he'd say, "Hot coffee, mama, hot coffee." Would go through Dunkin' Donuts. Hot coffee, dada. He was a cute kid at one time. He's not as cute now, but we still like him. Anyways, so yeah. Good to see the merch there, buddy. We're sporting some merch. If you guys want to check it out in the links below. Actually, there is a product well on YouTube by Hot Hardware merchandise in the product well. You can see the hot mug. We've got hot teas, all serviced through our Spring store. Spring, what is it? Spring something, Marco?
It was Teespring. Now it's
Teespring. Now it's just spring. Yeah, we're springing stuff. So yeah, and we even have a hoodie in there too. So cool stuff for the Hot Hardware merch if you want to check that out. Can I drop a link? Let's see. Here's the mug. I'll drop a link. Why not? Boom. Oh boy, that's a big link. Wow.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's just got all kinds of tracking tags on it. I hate when they do that, but
you just cut it back to the question mark.
I know. There's way too much effort currently to do that. So there you go. Big honking link.
We have
Sorry about
Francois in the house.
Francois, good to see you. And he makes his entrance. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, we've got all kinds of things going on this week. NVIDIA GTC was happening. Were all kinds of announcements. That's usually a fun show. Jensen does a great job. Pretty charismatic guy on stage, and they usually roll out some impressive technologies. We'll be getting to that. We've got reviews, tons of reviews firing up these days, from laptops to big honking powerful GPUs. And then interesting happenings around the web. We'll talk some more. Surface Laptop 4 came out, or was announced, I should say. So yeah, lots to chew through. What are you guys currently working on before we dive into the goodness? What's in your lab? What's keeping you up at night?
I have to pull this out because it's beautiful. I am in the middle of testing. This is a Ryzen 5000 powered ASUS ZenBook with an OLED display. Let me see if I have juice here.
Where'd you get that from?
This came from direct
Stole
from
it.
AMD, baby.
Ah, I didn't even know. Oh, they seeded you that. Nice.
There is it's going to take a minute to boot, but yeah. So you could see my screen. Look at this. How gorgeous. How vivid.
That's really sharp.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. Let me try to get it better, but you're going to get a lot of glare.
Marco,
so
is that under NDA?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Nope. That's being tested. I'm about, I don't know, 70% of the way through the benchmarks, looking strong as you would suspect. It's a Ryzen 7 5800U, but haven't done battery life yet. The screen is super bright, so we'll see how that affects battery life.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, the nice thing about OLED, although the screen's super bright, you can, we measure lumens output anyways, or lux output or nits, whatever, with our meters. But the nice thing about OLED is a lot of times you can turn it down a little bit. And because the contrast is so poppin' beautiful, you can back down the brightness a touch more. But yeah, good stuff. Chris, what do you got going on? Anything exciting?
I've got the all AMD Aurora desktop about ready to launch on the review. Very nice performance, especially when you consider its relative pricing in the world right now. Exceptional value. So, yeah, get my full thoughts out there.
Cool. I've got something in from the folks at ASUS as well. You had an ASUS laptop there, Marco. I have an ASUS gaming machine that is sporting some Ryzen 5000 as well as an RTX 3070 under the hood. Working with Ben on that review. There's some other stuff coming in that should be interesting that I probably can't get to. I'm just checking all the feeds right now. Looks like we are live on Facebook as well. Hopefully we're live on Twitch. But yeah, never a dull moment for sure. Just got done with the OnePlus 9 family of phones. Great Android phones. And man, did Sony come out with some cool stuff today with the Xperia line. Some crazy jacked up phones with 4K 120 hertz displays. I'll drop this in the chat. We weren't going to talk about it, but the launches Xperia 1.3 flagship, and there's even a new Xperia 5 something or other. Anyways, yeah, so phones are popping. All these Snapdragon 888 powered phones are popping in the Android world. Some good stuff there too. So yeah, we're busy. Never a dull moment. Why don't we dive into the headlines, some of the interesting headlines that have been popping around the web, and then we'll get to the meat, some of the heavy duty lifting from GTC, which there's some pretty heavy duty big iron stuff. It'll be interesting to see what Francois has to say about that. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's talk about a couple of headlines right now. ASUS AGESA 1.202 motherboard BIOS updates land to fix Ryzen USB connectivity woes. So ASUS is out of the gate first. I could have sworn Gigabyte I know they did an AGESA update. I don't know if they had the fix in here for Ryzen USB connectivity issues. But if you've been having some flakiness with Ryzen, with your Ryzen 500 series, X5 570, 500 series motherboards mostly, I believe. But with your Ryzen system, with a PCI Express 4 graphics card plugged in the slot, especially tends to be the rub. You can have some USB connectivity flakiness, peripherals dropping out, disconnecting, you having to reboot to get them connect, and it's a pain in the butt. Anyways, patches are out there. The AGESA updates are out there, and BIOS updates are ready to go, and hopefully we'll resolve some of that. Looks like ASUS is pretty quick to react. Again, I want to say I think others are going to be hot on the heels of ASUS as well. Any thoughts on this, gentlemen, before we move on to the next one?
I mean, we kind of knew this. Oh, sorry, Chris. I was going to say we kind of knew this was coming based on AMD's previous, announcement. After, I don't want to say we broke the story because it was out there for a while, but right after we posted and inquired about it, there was an official statement, and then at least they reacted quickly. So it's good that there's a fix out there. Sorry, Chris.
I was just going to say there can be few things as infuriating with the computer as when your USB sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So, sucks that it's happened, but glad to see it is getting fixed.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what you kind of have to expect sometimes with new platforms, is you get some weirdness. I don't know if this is sort of in concert with 5000 series CPUs. I don't think so. It's more chipset firmware related. So interesting stuff, but good to have the resolution. Also in the AMD front, man, there's lots of AMD news this week. Ryzen 5000G Zen 3 desktop CPUs with Radeon graphics launch, but OEMs call first dibs. So yeah, this is traditional for these types of processors. I'll drop the link in. They end up with OEMs first to system builders, and then eventually will likely make it to the channel. What's interesting about these, you've got 5000 series CPUs, 8, 6, 4-core CPUs with onboard graphics, Vega 8 graphics. But the nice thing is maybe they're going to be a little bit more accessible, hard to say. But there's been some availability in the Ryzen 5000 line, especially the 5800X has been out there. But good to see these are going to be hitting the market very soon as well, and hopefully hit the channel as well. Any thoughts on those, gentlemen?
No, because I think the rumors coming next are more interesting.
Really? Well,
yeah, yes, because these are, I mean, obviously, they're an upgrade. They're going to be really nice APUs, but the rumor that was coming are like the real next gen APUs. So.
Right, and we'll drop that in the chat since you have teased it, and move right along. AMD roadmap forecasts Ryzen 6000 Zen 3 APUs with RDNA 2 GPU and DDR5 support. So that's a leak. Take it with a grain of salt. Why don't you dive in there, Marco?
So I think there's this one, and there's like another one that's related to this. Both similar headlines. They broke a day or so apart. Yeah. So this rumor is almost certainly true for a couple of reasons. One, for an APU, system memory bandwidth is huge, right? That basically directly affects the GPU performance because they can saturate the memory bandwidth to system memory. GPU memory on a graphics card is very different than an APU sharing system memory. So it makes sense to have DDR5, and that faster pipe to system memory. But we also know RDNA 2 is way more efficient, than GCN. So getting a more efficient, more powerful GPU in there, plus that increased memory bandwidth, plus an updated Zen 3 architecture, that's the makings for a really, really nice APU.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been waiting for Navi to get into an integrated product because, Vega's getting a little long in the tooth, is it not?
I mean, it was great, with 4000 series mobile, like the graphics was great, but Intel with 11th gen and XC graphics really came on strong. And, I've done some basic graphics tests on this 5800U, and it's like right there. It's basically the same, higher clocks. I think I forget, they might have removed one CU, but it's got higher clocks. I don't remember, so don't quote me. But it's not, nothing earth-shattering in terms of graphics. So looking forward to next gen with a truly next gen GPU in there.
Yeah. Good stuff for sure. There's also a Zen 4 leak with integrated Navi on board, and they're calling it Navi 2. Again, these are leaks, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, but I'll drop that link in as well. Here you're talking about true next generation CPU architecture, as well as some sort of next generation Navi integrated GPU architecture. Roadmap slide looks pretty legit. Looks like lots of colors going on for sure. This was a Twitter user that leaked this out. Man, what's amazing is, I don't know if it's that there's a focus on AMD or that AMD just is prone to leaks, but man, does their stuff just get smeared all over the internet if this is legit. You have to put that caveat in there. You can't take everything for face value. Yeah, so Zen 4 on the roadmap with RDNA 2 asterisks. They're calling it Raphael, I guess. What are your thoughts here on these guys?
I'm not sure if this doesn't look legit to me. It's pretty, but it doesn't look legit in terms of the slide. I'm wondering if people are conflating the same rumor and leak. Some calling it Zen 3 Plus, some calling it Zen 4. I don't know. I do know that they will absolutely have an updated CPU architecture and GPU architecture in the next APU series. Exactly the mix we're all speculating.
Yeah. Chris, you jonesing for that to be a reality? It'd be a sweet platform, no question about it.
Yeah. Sorry, I am not read up on this. I've been too busy with the other job, so I am too out of the loop.
Okay, well, that's no sweat. Hey, so anyways, lots of stuff getting leaked out by AMD these days. An official launch happened actually today. I'll drop this link in as well. Moving along, also AMD flared. Microsoft's refresh Surface Laptop 4 announced starting at $999 with Ryzen CPUs under the hood. Marco, I know you've got some thoughts about this. Interesting to see the performance leap. What are you thinking?
The Surface Laptop 4 is a beautiful machine. I hate that this comes out now with Ryzen 4000 series.
Yeah.
Like I know Microsoft, I think it was on the first or second Surface Studio where Skylake had an issue, and I might be getting that wrong. But there was an Intel CPU that had some sort of issue, so they went super conservative on the next few releases and seemed to be stuck in that super conservative release schedule, and they're like a full generation behind the competition. So as nice as the Surface, the Surface Laptop is, it's a really well-built, good-looking, premium machine without a crazy premium price. Like it's not astronomically priced, but it's, it's the old platform. So I mean, you have to be a Microsoft fan to want it, because you could get a newer platform with better performance, higher efficiency for probably similar money. You just have to go with a different brand.
Yeah. That, Microsoft has always done that. Like I don't recall a Surface product launch that wasn't a generation behind. And I'm talking Surface Pro, Surface Laptop, Surface desktops, the all-in-one, always like a generation behind. And that's obviously intentional. I don't know if it's because they want to wring out the hardware and it has to be absolutely, super rock solid, can't be anything too new, such that their support infrastructure, I don't know, doesn't make sense. I don't know why that is.
I think that's the thought in their head, because they got burned on it. I wish I could remember the issue that happened, but I also think it's, we want to be Apple and we can put whatever hardware we want inside as long as the machine is beautiful.
Yeah.
So they do qualify, make sure it's a mature platform as best they can, but it's for the last, I don't know, it has to be 5 years, 4 years. They've always seemed to be a generation back. They're releasing their newest devices with processor platforms that are generation back versus the competition.
Yeah, but it takes decades of brainwashing your customer base to actually be able to pull that off. So
exactly.
Decades of reality distortion field, in effect, to numb the brain waves. Yeah, good stuff. So there's two flavors actually. There is an 11th gen Core i5 1135 G7, 1185 G7 Tiger Lake processor variant. So at least they're current on Tiger Lake. But with AMD, it's like they took a little bit more conservative route. They've got Ryzen 5 4680U and 4980U SKUs. And looks like 13.5 and 15-inch variants of the machine. Beautiful machine. I have to admit, my daughter has a Surface laptop, and I think it's the 3. And just, it's been fantastic for her. So really good stuff for sure. But yeah, still playing catch up on the AMD side. But hey, they do have Tiger Lake, so I guess they felt confident with Intel's offering. It's been out there a little longer.
Right, exactly. I'm sure it's all release timing. It's not their release timing is different. They kind of march to their own drum, but there is also a little extra level of conservatism at Microsoft with their hardware for some reason.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So we had Ben saying his Surface Pro is okay, but I use my Chromebook more, and I had to send him a little zing in the chat.
Yeah. Lost the D card. So I guess I do have to say, if you're going to just grab a device for something quick and you just want to get on the web, Chromebook's good for that. So
I need to revisit.
I can understand it.
I need to revisit Chromebooks. It's been a while since I've actually, test driven them and used them. There have been major refinements, I believe, to the Chrome platform, such that it is significantly more functional than it used to be. We've got Ben Funk on our team, another Ben, who's been playing in that world quite a bit, and swears by them. So, anyway,
I was going to say it's funny to watch my daughter with her Chromebook. My oldest daughter is super geeky. She totally got my genes, and she's coding on Scratch, and she's making fan art for all these books that she loves, and she's doing it all on a Chromebook.
Oh, really?
So
wow.
she bounces between her Shield tablet and Chromebook, and she's actually created lots of cool stuff. She does all her schoolwork on it, obviously. So I think my aversion is because I've never dove in completely. I like to have all my horsepower and apps local, but I'm just messing with Ben. The Chromebooks have definitely come far, and with the ability to run Android apps now too, you have lots of flexibility. So I'm just messing around.
Yeah, he says my Chromebook has 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. That's a pretty fat Chromebook config for sure.
I want to mess with him again, but I'm not going to.
Chris, have you delved into Chromebooks at all? What is your professional opinion on said platform?
I mean, I haven't really used Chromebooks myself much, but there have been people that I have recommended use them. In fact, I'd say probably most Apple MacBook users would be served just as well with the Chromebook, because they're really just using it for web surfing, quick access, maybe a document here and there. And I think that the Chromebook is a great platform for that, especially if you're in the Google Docs ecosystem to begin with. Why do you really need more?
Yeah.
And, they're cheap. I wouldn't say they're disposable, because a lot of them are quite well built. But if something were to happen to it, your documents and everything are going to be backed up. You just get another one for a reasonable price and you're on your way. So I can certainly see the appeal with them.
There is a simplicity and a beauty. Not that you can't get that with OneDrive, right? On the Windows side of things, but there is a simplicity and a beauty with the highly integrated cloud, app and storage platform. No question about it. My wife's a school teacher, second grade school teacher. The entire school is on Google Docs. Chromebooks in education are a big hit in general because of that, because it's just a very easy, ubiquitous platform to roll on. So,
and I'm a huge fan of OneDrive myself. It's what I keep basically all of my documents and everything in. And, even though it comes on Windows PCs, it's enabled by default. They try and get you to set it up by default. Most people don't have a clue what it is or how to use it. And, even you look at me sideways when I send you a OneDrive link. So
that's right. I know how to use it. It's just like, man, I always get these OneDrive links from you, and it's like, okay, yeah, no. And Oscar jumps in and says, if you live on web apps, you really don't need anything more, but prices on some do not compute. I would agree that for me, when you look at some of these Chromebook configs, it's like, why is this so expensive? And when others are like $299, and you're going, yeah, man, that's a huge value play.
Right, you got to have those Halo products.
There really is a wide range of Chromebooks, though. You can get like super slow crap MediaTek Chromebooks.
Yeah.
Or, Core i5 SSD fast memory Chromebooks. And it's really a vast expanse versus other machines.
Yeah, and we've got Lane also saying he likes the fact that Google Sheets has tons of functionality built into it that you'd have to grab a bunch of plugins for on Excel, which is cool. There's a lot of the autofill features I've been using. But the other nice thing about Google Drive, I guess you could say, or even Sheets, is that you can open an Excel doc within it and edit away and collaborate on that too. Now, you can also use OneDrive to collaborate on Excel and Word docs and stuff like that, but it is easier on the Google side. I will say that.
Yeah, there's a Google is king of simplicity, almost to the point that it gets annoying sometimes. like it's so simple, you're like clicking around going, where's the controls, man? And so it's just it's a funny thing, but I would agree for the average mainstream user that you just want stuff to get out of the way, not us power users. It does have a very, as simple a barrier to entry as you can make it.
But not to the level of stripped down as Apple.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish. That's, by design and not necessarily, well, I think it's definitely for the end user experience benefit, but also for Apple's benefit.
Would you just grab there, Marco?
Oh no, this is totally unrelated. I see Raymond just came into the chat. Ray, look.
Look at his big phallic camera.
Look, Ray, it's here. It's here.
What is that?
Do you call that a lens?
I got a new lens that Raymond wants too, so I'm just showing it off.
What is it? Like a freaking 15 to 200 or something?
100 to 400. And then,
400.
with the crop factor, it's a 200 to 800 equivalent. So sick.
Yeah, it's just looking through a pinhole wide open. But
what are you going to do with that?
I took handheld shots at 400 millimeter, and it resolved a single hair on a bird from a telephone pole. It was awesome.
Why do your birds have hair?
Because I'm Italian around here. They always got hair coming at everything.
Even his birds are hairy. That's hilarious. Oh my god, so good. Hey, so what are you gonna? Can you use this for work? Can HotHardware benefit from that big phallic lens?
When events start again?
Of course, because I bought it for work. I mean, obviously, I bought it for work. But
so full of it.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Cool.
It actually will. When we start traveling again, and I'm late for a keynote and have to sit in the back, I can now get close-up photos.
Right, you'll just be at ISO 6 million, and it'll be.
Chris, don't be jealous, man.
You can sit in the back row. You can sit in the back row and shoot all the way up Jensen's nose. No problem.
There you go. And then we could sit in the room after and go and laugh at the back and forth.
Oh my god! Yeah, Mark, that's an inside joke. There was one CES where we took a couple of consecutive burst shots of Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, on stage, and he just moved his head a little bit between shots. And whatever it was late. Maybe we had a couple of drinks. We were still grinding, trying to get some work
drinks
done.
At CES.
It was drinks and late, and we were working. And he's sitting there on the laptop with the trackpad going, and Jensen's head is going. His ears were probably smoking somewhere in Vegas that night. It was good stuff.
Wait, Oscar, that's not overcompensating, Oscar. This is Wait, I got to unlock it. This is overcompensating. Oh yeah. That's overcompensating.
You're not going to hold that lower?
No, it's definitely okay. Stop. Family show.
Shrinkage. Warm outside.
Oh god. There you go. We're having fun now, kids. All right, so let's
get me off of this thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you all in trouble.
With that out of the way, with that little gem,
mind you, Dave's the one drinking.
I'm straight. I'm lucid, and this guy's getting crazy with the camera gear. All right, let's move on to the main events. Do we want to talk GTC first, or do we want to do reviews first?
Let's quickly. I'm gonna burn through the one review because it's just a Radeon, but it's just cool, and I want the guys to see it.
So PowerColor Red Devil Ultimate Radeon RX 6900 XT review. My God, the name again. Will you people please learn to condense your product names so it's easy and rolls off the tongue? You're killing me and everybody else. Speed Demon, that's what we called it.
Hey, at least they haven't added any letters after XT. So
what the manufacturers don't know is there's a special mojo to headline length. And when your product name's too long, you can't get that awesome headline. So it hurts them to have that long product name.
Exactly. It's 60 chars. You need 60 chars max in a headline.
So this is the PowerColor Red Devil Ultimate. And the important thing in that model name is that word Ultimate, because they had a Red Devil before. So this is the 6900 XT. See triple 8-pin power connectors. You can see that massive heat sink. There's actually 7 heat pipes in there. RGB lighting. Jesus. You have the vented back plate. Everything is metal, right? Even the ports are lighted on this thing. And you could see how triple slot. This thing's a beast, right? It's huge. It's I think 5.4 pounds. Just a beast of a graphics card.
Yeah, 3/4 of a 3090.
What's cool about it, right? Most of the time when a partner comes out with an overclocked card, it's just a firmware tweak, their custom cooler, and because the cooler's better and the firmware has been tweaked to allow higher clocks, it runs a little faster than reference. Okay, that's partially true with this card, but PowerColor also worked with AMD to specially bin the GPUs, right? To get the best GPUs that will run at the highest clocks at the lowest voltages. And AMD's drivers have been updated to detect these binned GPUs to allow for an even higher power limit. So out of the box, there's a BIOS switch on this thing. It can be at 303 watts in the standard OC mode or 272 watts for a silent mode. In either mode, the fans actually stop if it's below 60 C, so the card's quiet. Under load, if you have any other fans in your system, you really can't hear a difference. I'm sure you can pick it up on a really accurate sound meter, but just leave it in OC mode if you get your hands on one of these things. But what I found was this card was really fast. So it overclocks high enough in its stock mode without tweaking. I was hitting clocks in the 2.5 gigahertz range on the GPU, right? The memory, the 16 gigs of memory is the same as a reference card. Overclocked, I was over 2.6 gigahertz. And that's enough of a boost to allow this particular 6900 XT to overtake a 3900 in some games where the reference card loses. So they're both close with traditional rasterization anyway. If you're just looking at traditional raster, you can make an argument this is one of the fastest graphics cards you can buy. Throw in ray tracing, and it performs more like a 2080 Ti. So that the RTX 30 series definitely better if you're totally into ray tracing. But man, this card just kicked ass across the board. I really liked it. It runs cool. It does use more power. 35 to 40 watts ish. It's not trivial, but with a cooler this big, it didn't matter. I turned up the fan speed a little bit while overclocked to 2.6, and it was only running at 80 C, and that's the junction temperature. That's the hot part of the chip. So really powerful, sick, fast graphics card with some really cool features, and includes a bracket to support it if you don't want to put too much strain on your slot. Just a really nice package all around. The huge caveat. Put this in the conclusion, and it didn't get any award because of it. PowerColor didn't release an MSRP, so I don't know how much it costs. No one knows how much it costs in the market right now. So if it was $100 more MSRP, $75 more MSRP versus a regular 6900, all out recommend it. I love the card. If it's $500 more, it's not worth it. So we can't say because we didn't get an MSRP.
Yeah.
It is. It's a kick-ass card.
Interesting. Yeah. So two things there. The first thing I think of when I see was it me or did I see 3 PCI Express 8-pin connectors on the top of that thing?
Yep.
I mean, that's okay. It needs power. We know that much. So when I see that, the first thing I think is, they're really pegging the GPU up against its limits. It's going to be hot. It's going to be potentially loud. It's going to draw a ton of power. We know that. The power was definitely higher, but your note that it, topped out at like 80 C on the GPU under load, that thing's running comfortably at those kind of speeds.
Yeah. So two things, right? It's stock without tweaking the fan curve, right?
Yeah.
It did go up to like 88C, but the fans were only running at 1700 RPM. So that's, it's quiet. It's warm, like it's pumping out air with that huge heat sink and 3 fans. I personally, I've been an enthusiast so long, I don't care about a couple of degrees coming out of my PC. It is what it is. The thing is, in addition to having, way over engineered power, it's got a 16-phase power. And if you add up the slot and those 8-pin ports, you have 300, 450, 525 watts technically capable between the slot and those 3 PCI power connectors. Yeah. So you're like tons of headroom. If you're a tweaker, it's a fun card. It's going to be super pricey, but I just don't know what the price is.
Yeah, see, that was my other issue. It's like, come on, how can they not give you a price point? Like, I understand that right now the market's crazy, and when this thing hits the market, it's MSRP is sort of out the window, and almost a non-issue, non-discussion point, whatever. But as product review folks, as editors that we are, the only basis that you can make a judgment on is MSRP, because we know the market's messed up and things are crazy and demand is what it is. But if you don't have an MSRP, you can't pass judgment. You don't know if it's, as big as a bread box or not. And so just strange. And you asked them why no MSRP and you didn't get an answer.
I got an answer, and I'm not going to read it. It was basically that they didn't want to set an MSRP and not be able to hit it. They feel it's not fair that some manufacturers set an MSRP, then that's what we review it on, but then it actually sells for more because the market's crazy. But that's an excuse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
it's a tough one. Yeah, I guess have we found it? Is it out there in the channel now?
No, like I rushed. I didn't rush. I grinded it out to hit the embargo lift, and assuming others were going to be out there because I wanted to be, one of the first with it, and I haven't seen it anywhere yet. The original Red Devil, the non-ultimate, is out there, and it's I think I saw it for $1149 now versus $999 for a 6900 XT. That's high for a premium on the regular Red Devil, but I don't know if that was a real price because they were out of stock, and Amazon pricing, they change it like immediately when they're in stock and out of stock. So
right. Let me drop this in the chat. This isn't it, is it? I just hit this on Amazon.
That's so funny. All right,
this one here is the non-ultra.
Right. That was $1149 when I published the review. So
that's 2200. That's crazy. That's some gouger or some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't buy from them.
Don't buy from that. Don't do that. It's too bad. It's too bad. The market is what it is. But Chris, any thoughts on this before we move on? It's certainly a fascinating beast. It would be nice if it'd be great if what was MSRP on a 6900 XT from AMD anyways? Like, what was the original?
$999.
$999. It'd be great if the thing was out there for like literally you could acquire it for I don't know $1,075 or something like that.
Yeah, anywhere.
Doesn't it hurt you to say that though? $1,000.
No, I know it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
It does hurt. I mean, in a normal market, I could see it maybe going closer to 1,200, but the market is just so messed up now. I don't even know what to think of GPU prices. I don't even like looking at GPU prices right now.
Yeah.
But, it's a beautiful card. It does make me, with the raster performance being as strong as it is, I am just that much more excited to see what Gen 2 of ray tracing for AMD looks like. If they can really close that gap on NVIDIA, because, it's nice that they have the ray tracing, but it still feels like, it's the first gen NVIDIA level implementation. Always looking to the future.
Yeah.
But that's how it is.
I mean, we got to get to the next piece. We spent too much time on this, but like if you look at the architecture with the 2 ray accelerators per CUs and AMD basically hitting the level of a 2080 Ti for some ray tracing titles, if they had released it before the RTX 30 series, you could have made an argument they had the fastest ray tracing card for a moment in time. But yeah, 30 series came before it, and bingo bango, 2nd gen ray tracing.
It's always there. It's always a moment in time, isn't it?
But looking at the architecture too, 2 CUs, 2 ray accelerators per CU. Can they go to 3? Can they go to 4 accelerators? And we'll see. They're going to learn a lot from this implementation. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question about it. It's cool stuff.
So we have a comment from Ghost 68 Recon in the chat. He's got an ASUS ROG Strix. It goes over 2700 while gaming. I did see clocks that high on this one too, but not sustained. So like there's screenshots on my overclocking page where you can see the sustained clock. I was getting peaks that are higher, but it's just for moments.
Yeah.
So I saw consistent gaming. Really strong performance, in the 2.6 gigahertz range. It's a nice card. I mean, ASUS makes great cards too, obviously, but I really like this Red Devil.
Cool. From the folks at PowerColor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man. There you go. Check it out. HotHardware.com. We dropped a link in the chat. Let's move on to some of the sights and sounds of GTC and discuss something very interesting that we definitely didn't see coming. This is the first CPU, core central processing unit, from NVIDIA. NVIDIA Grace Next Gen ARM CPU delivers 10x performance lift for giant scale AI and HPC workloads. So that 10x performance lift claim is relative to having a host processor powered by Intel in very massive data sets. So AI, high performance computing, HPC, supercomputing in general, anything that, you have a massive data set that takes days to crunch. This processor alleviates bottlenecks. It does that a number of different ways, but one of them is that it supports NVLink, which is a very high speed interface for NVIDIA that was historically just enabled for GPUs in these big iron AI, machine learning supercomputers and data center machines, but now has been introduced into an ARM core processor, and here you're looking at Grace coupled with an NVIDIA GPU. You can see the HBM, the chiclets on the HBM. That's the GPU module next to Grace. Integrated on a sort of a mezzanine style card design. GDDR5 is involved here for high speed. Not GDDR5, LPDDR5, excuse me. And that is involved as the memory subsystem for Grace, and it may even be LPDDR5X. Let me just make sure I get that right. At any rate, really interesting stuff. Obviously, NVIDIA is all in with ARM now, in their bid to acquire them, of course, as well. But has been working on some big iron data center ARM core architecture designs for a while. I mean, to bring this to market in, I think it's 2023. Let me make sure I get this right too. It's been in development for a long time. And when you consider it in and of itself, it's a major move. NVIDIA was quick to point out that this is for specialty, massive, scale data center AI and HPC and supercomputing applications. It is not something that they said was going to go right after Intel's bread and butter server business for cloud infrastructure kind of stuff. It's for big, difficult problems that need gobs of bandwidth and can't otherwise be done more efficiently. Okay. What do you guys think about this? It's interesting stuff for sure.
Grace is wild.
Wild is right. Yeah.
You know, we know it's next gen ARM Neoverse cores on there, next gen GPU arc, super fast interconnects between Grace processors in a DGX system. I think the bandwidth between them was 900 gigs a second. You know, if you have multi sockets, you know, between CPUs, bandwidth is way lower. So yeah, I think for the workloads that Jensen was talking about for the AI and the HPC specialized workloads, going to be an animal. I think we'll see at first gen, it'll be for those supercomputers a mix of x86 and Grace. Next gen, I mean, we know what NVIDIA wants to do here. Like, this is NVIDIA saying, hey, look, super fast data center CPU. You know, they want to buy ARM for a reason. There's lots of tech, that.
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting half decade, right? We have Intel with new leadership, trying to fight their way back. We have AMD firing on all cylinders, and NVIDIA is an aggressive animal, man. Like, they always have been. So I love it. Like, I had no idea how this is all going to shake out. I do know NVIDIA is an execution animal as well. So we should have some real exciting times across, like, basically every form factor, from big iron servers, down to low power, potentially, ARM based Windows mobile devices. So we'll see, man. There's going to be lots of good stuff.
Yeah. So the CPU, just to go back real quick, and Chris, I can hear you. You're ready to chime in there, but just real quick to make sure I get this right. The memory bandwidth is 500 gigabytes a second over LPDDR5X with ECC error correction. So that's what's supporting the CPU, and then of course you have HBM2E memory on the GPU here in this instance. Go for it, Chris. Sorry about that.
I just was going to say, it's interesting, the divide in companies between, we need AI in the cloud in the data center. Then we've got the one saying, oh no, we need all the AI at the edge where it can just be just in time. And I know a lot of that is training sets versus, actually using the AI, but not necessarily. So what are your thoughts on, who's really got the right trek to drive us through the next decade? What is one of them necessarily going to be a winning strategy? Is it going to take both?
I mean, there's lots of different ways to do training, with these big, powerful machines, and there's various solutions, GPUs and CPUs, and then there's FPGAs and specialty accelerators as well. What's interesting for me with NVIDIA in this space is they are absolutely the 800-pound gorilla. So when you talk about the fact that CUDA and the inertia that they have in AI, in machine learning, in the data center currently, and the pull through that has, because everybody's been, processing these heavy duty workloads on their GPUs for so long, the pull through that has for the CPU, for Grace, is enormous. And when you talk about the tight coupling of the architecture with NVLink between the CPU and the GPU, I mean, that's going to have, you're talking native interfaces now for the architectures. That's a huge advantage. It's like if Intel had a super high speed interface and, came out with I don't know if it's an FPGA solution or something like that everybody was already using, and they were just like, boom, here you go, here's a CPU that does it as well. Now, we've alleviated the bottlenecks. This is a really compelling, for their position in the market, a very compelling solution. Where it goes from here, obviously for me, it's interesting because they obviously picked a very high margin niche market that is set to keep expanding. There's growth, huge growth. I mean, it's kind of a stroke of brilliance, honestly, I think, but maybe I'm giving it too much credence. I don't know.
But to further answer your question, Chris, Dave, what we had talked about yesterday with was that under embargo?
What's that?
Uh-oh.
I can't say it. So I'll summarize because I don't remember if it's under embargo. But so
was it the same company?
No, starts with a Q.
Okay.
So I think what you're gonna see AI everywhere. You're gonna see it
was
in
not under embargo. Not under
it's
embargo.
not okay. So you're going to see it in the data center, at the edge, and in your pocket. There's lots of work also being done to take these huge models and using quantization to technically lower the resolution but keep similar accuracy and lower power but speed things up. Maybe you can take a certain AI model and it takes 40 milliseconds on a big iron server at full precision, but then using quantization, run it on a low power device, maybe slightly lower precision, but still good enough. So you'll have this stuff basically everywhere. I think AI it's being incorporated everywhere, from your smart speakers to your car to healthcare. It's everywhere, and everybody's going to be designing stuff to kind of, wherever there's computing, I think there's going to be AI engines.
Oh, that was your question, Chris. I missed that. I'm sorry, I missed that. That's
the strategy of the edge versus the cloud, which is really going to be the dominant driving force in the AI sphere.
Right. Well, and we should, folks that are listening, we should explain the difference between training and inference. And this is Grace is targeted at training applications. So now you're getting huge amounts of data that needs to be chewed through to train the machine to understand, so that you can utilize the data sets, build the neural networks to utilize that. And then at some point it may be utilized at the edge in what they call inference. So the machines at the edge do inferencing. They take data in from external resources and infer from the model that was trained what they're perceiving or what they're taking in for data. So that's most edge applications for AI are inference, and what Marco spoke of with quantization allows much more efficient versus using floating point. You can use integer precision versus using large floating point math. You can really cut down power consumption and increase performance with quantization at the edge for inference. But this is a big iron training product, CPU for data center training, and so it's really that's where the machine learns, so to speak. It's cool stuff. It's really cool stuff.
Yep.
So, and then, the other aspect of this whole topic is NVIDIA really just laying back going, no, we're building this, their comment was, this is a specialty product for very complex data sets. And I believe that it is, but are they going to lay back, or are they going to, at some point, are they going to compete truly head on versus x86 in cloud data centers? What are your thoughts, Marco, on that?
I mean, NVIDIA wants to go there. Like, why buy someone else's CPU when you can make your own? So they want to be completely vertically integrated and have a all NVIDIA solution. Right now, it's maybe today not possible, and Jensen's, and maybe it's hard. You're not just going to make a CPU. So there is a possibility that they fail. Any company could fail at stuff like this. It's not easy. So you can't just piss off all your partners and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy their stuff for now, and then we're going to crush them in 5 years. You're not going to hear any company say that. Right. But I think just looking at their trajectory, where they want to go. And I think you have to pay attention. ARM is, they announced the first new architecture in like 10 years with big performance and efficiency improvements. And there's a reason NVIDIA wants to buy them. So we just have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
And we have a question from Oscar asking whatever happened to AMD's Project Skybridge. I don't know specifically on that project, but technically all of AMD's processors are ARM x86 hybrids because they have the secure cores that are ARM based and everything in there.
Yep.
So I don't know, like what you'll see on processors that have a mix of different cores is there's lots of scheduling problems, and it's hard to maintain performance, and things get a little wacky. So it might be that the hardware was ready and the software was never ready. We just don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts on this before I move on to the next quick subject and we close out?
No, drive on ahead.
Yeah, the other thing that they announced, and we'll finish up. I'll mention the other review we have before we close. But the other thing that NVIDIA announced is a new drive platform. So, they have Drive Orin and their previous generation drive platforms. They announced a platform called Drive Atlan, and this employs actually an NVIDIA Grace CPU as well as GPU, and they're calling the GPU Ampere Next. So some derivative of Ampere Next. And it also employs BlueField technology. So NVIDIA's BlueField product is a DPU. So Jensen proclaimed on stage at GTC that they are now a 3 processor company. You've got GPU, you've got CPU with Grace, and then you've got a DPU, or what I call a data plane processing. It's a data processing unit, but it's control plane and data plane processing. So communications or traffic cop, if you will, is the DPU. And it also has intrinsic security processing. So it offloads security processing as well as network processing or TCP offload in this application. So it's a next generation autonomous vehicle platform that will come to customers for prototyping and for development in 2023. And I don't think production cars will hit until 2025. But Orin is slated for 2022, which is their current next gen, if there is. But they're showing you the next gen with Drive Atlan. Fascinating stuff again, man. NVIDIA is a company to watch. This is fascinating stuff for sure. Any comments on Drive Atlan before we move on?
Well, you know what oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, that's definitely an application where you want your inferencing at the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and the DPU side of it, and Marco, I'm sorry, it's real quick. The DPU side of it's important too. To have a dedicated security processor on board. Jensen was speaking of zero trust framework or zero trust architecture. It's critical because once we start having autonomous vehicles on the road en masse, security is going to be the next frontier, because hacking into these things will be a real freaking problem. So yeah, that's part of the next gen. I'm sorry, Marco, dive right in there, bud.
No, it was just a quick observation in preparation for the podcast. I was, just freshening up on the info. If you look at the scale, right, of the increased performance, the horsepower, the tops of the different platforms, from 2018 to 2020, it was a 30x increase. From 2020 to 2022, it's like a not quite 10x, like 8x, like 7 to 8x. And then from 2022 to 2024, it's 4x. But look at how that compounds the difference in performance. It was just, getting to 1,000 tops in a car platform. It should allow for some super fast computing, and with the higher speed interconnects and more security, we're going to get closer to those autonomous vehicles everywhere. And Francois can't comment because he works for a car manufacturer now.
Well, he works for Mercedes, and Mercedes went on record. I believe he works for Mercedes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they went on record and joint announced with NVIDIA on the Orin platform. So this next generation that hasn't quite hit yet, it's a 2022 timeframe, will be NVIDIA's Orin platform, Drive Orin. Atlan is beyond that in roughly the 2025 production year timeframe. So yeah, interesting stuff. Francois has been playing with the toys, I am certain. Cool. Chris, I'm gonna throw one more in here before we close out. We'll make it real quick because we got to burn through it, but you'll like this one. This is right up your alley. Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Nano review. Talk about a cool machine. Tiger Lake under the hood, 2 pounds. Performance was super solid. Despite the fact that it's 2 pounds, you would think it may have throttling issues, but it did actually, it fared very well versus the competition in that regard. 48 watt hour battery. Again, you would think this thing because it's so light, because it's so thin, would struggle in either thermals or battery life, and it did not. Solid battery life, great Tiger Lake performance, a 13-inch 2K display, 2160 by 1350 resolution. It's an IPS display, Dolby Vision certified, 450 nits. Beautiful machine. Marco, this is your jam too, because I know you like them petite like this. What do you guys think? Check it out.
That thing's exactly my kind of machine. I don't know, the only problem I think I would have with it is you'd absolutely have to use window scaling at that resolution at 13 inches.
Yeah.
And you still come across apps that just don't look right when you're scaled. So that might be something to get used to. But other than that, just rocking little machine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to see it. For me, 13 and 14-inch displays, kind of 1440p is ideal. But this is 2160 by 1350. So I think it's close. I think it's close. And yeah, it's a 16 by 10 format, right?
Yeah, I think you're still going to want a little scaling, at least 125, 150.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, ThinkPad's always a great look. That's sharp but small. I like it.
Yeah. Dual Thunderbolt 4. That's all you get. USB-C, dual Thunderbolt 4, USB-C. The only drawbacks, the only sort of dings we gave Lenovo on this one was, again, please bring back an SD card slot, please, a micro SD card slot, the little chippy slot. That's all we need for cameras. Makes it so much more accessible to content creation folks. And what else? We said, 720p webcam, but that's kind of common these days. It does get pricey for sure. I think it's our machine was the 2231 as configured, but no, it listed for $1,800, 1877. Excuse me. I think 2231 was the max config, but starting price is $1,289. So good stuff from the folks at Lenovo. Highly recommend it. Came darn close to getting an editor's choice, but we pulled back on that just for a few of the caveats on the accessibility and cost, but close, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, just realizing that's a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, and I actually really like the 16 by 10 on an Ultrabook. It's great for productivity. Just that little extra space makes a huge difference.
Yep. Throw a graph in there, Chris, if you can. Since you're sharing, we can just show them performance real quick, and then move on. Has a pretty solid SSD. Is pushing north of 2 gigs a second read, but then as you can see, it's right up there in the top quadrant. There's a Cinebench run, and does really well. We like this machine a lot. The folks at Lenovo, man, I will tell you as well, if you're a keyboard junkie, and short of mechanical switches, which you will never find in a 2-pound laptop, the best keyboards in the business. It really is. It's good stuff. So check it out. If you're in the market for a new laptop, would recommend it. And that is the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Nano. All right. So let's close it out because we are at the bottom of the half hour. And Marco, why don't you tell? Okay, why are you laughing? Did I say something that triggered your inner?
I like to chuckle, man.
Okay,
I'm trying to be positive, happy-go-lucky.
I didn't know if you had some sort of, I triggered some sort of inner gutter thought process for you.
I've said it many times. Half of my brain power is used to not say inappropriate jokes because they just fly in my head constantly from everything that everybody says. But since we're closing things out, so we have to tell you, we only cover a fraction of the stuff that we post on HotHardware. If you haven't come by the site, please do. HotHardware.com. You can obviously find us everywhere. Twitch.com/HotHardware, YouTube.com/HotHardware, Facebook.com/HotHardware, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're all over the place. Wherever you want to interact, we're there to interact. Instagram as well. We have an interesting giveaway coming with the folks from Falcon Northwest. That is going to be a really hot machine. The review of a similar machine is going live in the next couple of days. We really appreciate you coming to hang out and stop by. If you dug the podcast, or if you just liked watching this, whatever platform you're on, please like and subscribe. We're trying to make video a bigger focus this year, and we appreciate having you. And with that, I'll let the other guys say goodbye as well.
Yeah. So giveaway, did you mention the who's going to be doing the giveaway?
Yeah, Falcon Northwest. Yep. Yeah.
So that's going to be a beastly giveaway. It will be a nice rig. So stay tuned for that. You could win it. You got to be checking in with us on a regular basis, so you know when we put it up, and you can get your entry in. But yeah, should be fun. Fun. And with that, hit like and subscribe. We appreciate it very much. And we thank you so much for stopping by.